There we go. All right. We are now streaming live on Facebook. Welcome, everyone. If you are a Reform or Reconstructionist, when we do Havdalah tonight, Passover is officially over. I've referred to this night as Chag HaPizza. I actually was once talking to a non-Jewish friend when we were at a Seder that I was doing my chaplaincy work. And I started talking about it just like Chag HaPizza stuff. All of a sudden she looks at me and I said, okay, so that's not, it's not technically a thing. There is actually other Middle Eastern cultures that actually do have a holiday that they celebrate with chametz right after it, but we don't. That's just the Ashkenazic New World thing of you might not eat pizza for regularly, but the minute Passover hits, you want pizza. Okay. All right. So we are now, as I said, over Passover, and I was trying to think of a story, and I thought we would have one that would just be kind of fun tonight because it's been sort of serious with the Seder and everything with that. So this is one that hopefully you will find amusing. It's called The Royal Test. Now, the king looked closer to get a better look at the crystal ball. Are you sure that's what it means? He said, squinting, looking carefully. All I see is a little beggar kind of with a sack on his back. What? Said the fortune teller. And she wiped the crystal ball, saying, no, that's just a smudge. Don't worry about that. The king just still couldn't get it, though. Why would my prime minister, my trusted prime minister for so many years, leave me? For what? To join a circus? Alakazam, alakazam, that's what the crystal ball is saying, said the fortune teller. The king rubbed his eyes and looked at the crystal ball again. Finally, he sat back and said, okay, well, I'm supposed to find a new prime minister by holding a contest? Is that what you said? Not I, your highness, said the fortune teller. I'm not telling you anything. The future has spoken. So she blew out the candles and whisked the crystal ball away and held out her hand, and the king dropped his gold into it, and he went back to the palace. Now, the people of his kingdom were kind of used to hearing odd pronouncements from their king. So the next day, when he announced that he would choose a new prime minister by a contest of strength, I was surprised. Well, that is except for his old prime minister. But your highness, I'm not a trapeze artist, the poor man said, stamping his feet. I'm not going to run away to the circus. The king looked at him with pity. You don't think you're going to do that now, but you will soon. The future has spoken. Are you really going to hold a contest to replace me? He said. Now, don't worry, old man. Circus life will be wonderful. The excitement, the travel, and just think you get to eat all the peanuts that you want. Now, enough talk. Go and ask for representatives of every community in the kingdom to send someone. And from one of them, I'm going to pick my new prime minister. What should I ask the contestants to bring with them, your highness, the prime minister said. Weights? Dumbbells? No, the king growled. I already have one dumbbell, thank you very much. Just tell the people to bring a bowl of pepper. Obviously. Obviously, said the prime minister. The next morning, the town square was filled with contestants and spectators. Everyone wanted to see the magnificent displays of strength. But there was one problem. There was still no representative from the Jewish community. The crowd started to go restless because they wanted to see the spectacle when finally a slight man with a bald head elbowed his way through the square. I'm here to compete, he said in a timid voice when he stood before the king. I, Joshua, am the Jewish representative. At first, the audience was silent because they looked at this man and said, what? Then someone started to giggle. And before long, everybody was laughing. Why, that man can barely lift his feet to walk, somebody said. This ought to be funny. But Joshua didn't notice any of the insults, and the king merely nodded. And so the royal test began. The first contestant had flaming red hair, was nearly 7 feet tall. Your Highness, I'm ready, she said proudly, rolling up her sleeves. What would you like me to lift? Your throne, perhaps, with you sitting in it? The audience roared with delight, but the king frowned. How barbaric, he said. No, I don't need you to lift anything. Don't you understand? I need a new prime minister, not a furniture mover. I'm not talking about that kind of strength, muscle brain. I'm talking about character. The tall woman looked confused. You still don't understand, said the king. In order to find someone to govern the kingdom, I need to find someone who can govern himself or herself. Someone who won't have a temper tantrum at the drop of a hat. Someone who won't burst into tears because their feelings are hurt. Someone who won't crack under pressure. Someone who can take a deep whiff of pepper from this bowl and not sneeze. Think you can do that? The tall woman nodded uncertainly. She stepped forward, lowered her face to the bowl, and took a deep breath. Her face slowly turned as red as her hair as she wavered, and then, achoo! Her sneeze blasted the king right off the throat. The next contestant was a man whose muscles bulged under his clothes. He put his face to the bowl, but he barely breathed anything in. After a minute, he started to sway slightly. The king asked, are you all right? And the muscular man started to nod his head, but he barely did that before he fainted right into the king's lap. So it went on all afternoon. As the sun began to set, the strongest men and women in the kingdom had coughed, sneezed, wheezed, and gasped their way to defeat. Now there was only one contestant left. Do you understand the rule? Said the king in a tired voice. I think so, Joshua answered quickly. Bowl, pepper, no sneeze. Very well, said the king, waving his hand dismissively. Get on with it. Joshua put his face to the bowl. He inhaled the pepper deeply and stood up straight, facing the crowd. His eyes were watery. His bald head shone with sweat. His nose started to twitch like a rabbit. He opened his mouth and threw back his head, and he sang. Eliyahu Hanavi began softly and then more strongly. Eliyahu Hatishvi Eliyahu 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 Hagiladi. The king jumped his feet and hugged Joshua. Truly, here is a man who can control himself, the king said. Not only didn't he sneeze, but he was able to sing through it. This is the person I want on my side by the prime minister. The crowd roared its approval, with the spectators from the Jewish community cheering the loudest. They had never heard Eliyahu Hanavi sing with quite as many achoo's, but nobody needed to know that. So tell me, said the king as he walked Joshua back with him to the palace. What song was that? Oh, that, Joshua answered as he blew his nose loudly. It's a famous song about the prophet Elijah. Eliyahu is his Hebrew name. He lived a long time ago, but Jews still believe that he helps people when they need it, just like me now. He wanders around dressed like a little beggar. The king stroked his chin. A little beggar. That somehow seemed a familiar idea, but he couldn't for the life of him think of where it was that he'd heard it. No matter, he thought. He'd finally found a prime minister who would serve him well, and he didn't need a crystal ball to see it. So that is our story for tonight. It's not one without much great meaning, except I guess if you're going to be asked to not sneeze, you should sing. With the achoo's. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Rabbi Barbara for Havdalah.
I guess we should not use bowls of pepper for our spices. That would be the other lesson I would get out of that.
If we bring that in, though, we're going to go achoo.
That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So let me get the text to share. So I'll put it in the chat. And I find I have to do it in 2 installments. So it'll take me just a moment to get both of them up there. So last week we only got to do a small part of Havdalah because it was during the Seder and we were not finishing. We were going from Shabbat to Passover to the holiday. So tonight we get to do more than just the candle. We get to do, of course, all 3 symbols. So it should be enjoyable. So earlier today when we did services, we had people unmuted a bit more. I'm not sure how it will work, but we can try it for the first blessing and we'll see how it goes with Lalalas and B'rei Pri Hagafen. And then we'll see if we continue with those of you who'd like to unmute, unmuted or not. We can do it either way. So I'm going to light my candle first, and I'm going to start a new candle next week. And by the way, tonight we also count the beginning of the 7th day of the Omer. So we can consider that we've counted it. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Shekachenu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sfirat ha'omer. So we have fulfilled that obligation of counting as well. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. La 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Borei Peri Hagafen, Borei Peri Hagafen. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. La 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 la, la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Borei Besamim, Borei Besamim. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, la la la. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Borei ha'esh, Borei ha'esh. And the picture I have behind me tonight is actually from Israel. Might not look exactly like that yet, but things are blooming in Israel much more than here. So I thought it would be a pretty picture as we know that spring really has sprung some places and our version is still in process of coming. So we can enjoy the brighter colors even if they're not here quite yet. For the Havdalah blessing, it's a little bit longer and more words. Again, it's up to you if you want to be muted or not muted for it. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech
haolam
hamavdil ben kodesh lechol ein or lechoshen ein yom hashvi'i sheshet yemei ha'maseh Baruch atah Adonai hamavdil ben kodesh lechol. Take one more moment just to savor the warmth and the brightness of the light, the sweet smells and all as we savor this Shabbat a few moments longer, and we're ready to put our candle out in our wine or juice. Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hakiladi, Bimera v'yameinu, Yavu Eleinu, Imashiach ben David, Imashiach ben David, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hakiladi. I was thinking about last week when we sang Eliyahu Hanavi, we didn't have any ashes or wax in the wine we had on the table for Elijah, right? So we herald and hope for better times and a more peaceful world. And as we have all of these different stories about Elijah helping us to herald that and announcing when we have arrived at that time, we continue involved with all the work that we think is important to help make it come to be. So I wish everyone a Shavua Tov, and I'll invite everybody else to unmute who's not yet to sing Shavua Tov with us as we hope and we pray for a good week, and we're ready to roll up our sleeves to help make it so. Okay, Shavua Tov, 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 a good week of peace. May gladness reign, joy increase. A good week, a week of peace. May gladness reign and joy increase. I wish everyone Shavua Tov.
Shavua Tov.
Shavua Tov.
Jody, you're back.